and I'm certain that this will happen, we take experiences like this, and this becomes internalized into the organization's culture, and these are issues that won't arise again because we'll be able to, capture what the students need and want well beforehand from having gone through things like this before.
First, I would like to say thank you to the SGA members for allowing us to have this forum. I think it's a great opportunity to get some of our grievances out and to be educated on what the process is. Saying that, I would like to piggyback a little bit on what you were explaining about public image. And I want to say it's more of a statement than I have my financial question very quick. So, obviously, from the intimidation standpoint, having police escorts around the campus university actually really hurt you guys' public image. Whether it's, I'm not going to debate who was responsible for that happening, but the image and the perception is probably going to put you guys in a negative light. It's very menacing to see you guys with tasers walking around and looking at the stairs and it's us against them. You're going to polarize people. So hopefully we can learn from that day and move forward. And I think this is a great chance to move forward. Now, saying that, a lot of my things about transparency and accountability, and she touched on some of the redundancy I'm concerned with. Do we have your pledge to work through some of that, ratifying some of the way the structure is set up, if we can get a consensus of people agreeing that, okay, we like the way the system works, there's accountability here, but if we add this idea, like for instance, for example, a rating system, that documented rating, not subjective rating, like this student org messed up, you have until this time to correct and get this flag off of you before, as far as funding being released. Something a little innovative to get the process moving a little more, not antiquated or a little modern, like maybe eBay does, some stuff like that. Now, I'm personally going to be proactive. This is my last semester here at undergrad. I'm going to be proactive throughout the year, trying to work with you. If I'm allowed on any committees, alhamdulillah, or God, all praises, thank God, I'm on the committee to help with you guys if that happens. So I'm going to wrap up. I have an issue with accountability. If you're going to make a pledge for us to police you, because that's what I'm hearing. Some people have concern about you policing us. What about you? You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to allow us to work with you, I have no problem. I'm not a troublemaker. I'm not here, I'm a peacemaker, I'm a problem solver, not a problem maker. So if you work with me, man, I'm with you guys. I like a lot of the ideas. I think I can add to some things. I think I can get some feedback from some of the student orgs and be a positive player and help you out. We should not polarize each other into it's us against student government, and student government against the students. It's all of us together. We all in this university. We should all come from a common purpose. I know it's kumbaya, but it works. It works.
I want to commend you because I got your application for the finance committee, and I think, it's really easy to recognize problems that exist. It's a lot harder to want to be a part of the change, and so I want to thank you for taking that step. And as far as I know, the committee will be meeting on Monday to hopefully appoint you to the finance committee, so you'll hear back shortly. So thank you for doing that.
No, I just wanted to say, I appreciate that. I sort of echo the sentiments from Vice President Jackson, and I want to extend that opportunity to not only as you, but as well as to everybody in this room. SGA is not a closed organization. It's really open to any student who's interested in joining. Ultimately, I'm hearing a lot of things about accountability. Ultimately, the Student Government Association is accountable to the entire student body. We're handling student funds. We're handling your money, my money. Obviously not just the money of the students that are involved in the student organizations, but as well as the entire, 323 students on campus. So, I just want to say thank you, and to keep that in mind. Literally, like Treasurer Auerbach said, a lot of these concerns we heard for the first time a couple weeks ago, and it was from a senator. Our doors are always open. We're located right in the main classroom building, room 217. Our doors are always open. You guys are welcome to come in and talk to us. Come in, speak your mind. Talk to us about what you're frustrated with, any questions that you have. It doesn't even have to be only regarding the funding process. This is only a small component, a very important component of what SGA does. So keep that in mind, and I'm not sure who this is.
So there's a few points I want to specifically address. I think they were very important. The first one is this concept of policing SGA. So let me say this. There's absolutely nothing in which I do and that I'm involved in that's not completely open for all of you. Literally at any time, if any single student, faculty, staff, or otherwise comes into the office and says, I want to see your books, you're welcome to come and see it. They're always open. I keep very diligent records. Just for my own personal record keeping, every organization that's received funding between last year and this year, what they got for a hearing, what they got for this year, what their off-campus is, I will show you whatever you like, as long as it's not like a FERPA violation by showing other student orgs. I'll show you your stuff or whatever, and with the proper, if the DSL signs off, but like the books for SGA, like our record keeping, what we spend on things, you're all welcome to see it. And guess what? At every Senate meeting, as treasurer, I provide an update to the Senate. Those meetings are open. You're welcome to get a hold of any of the documents that I provide to the Senate. I'll provide all of that to each and every one of you if you like. I have no problem sharing that. The second thing is, as far as image, one of the things we are doing is our Director of Public Records, Public Relations, Omar Kurdi. One of the things we're looking into is increasing the number of senator seats that we have for student orgs, right? So currently there are 2. And I think given the fact that that's representative of where we were a few years ago, and a number of organizations have grown exponentially, you guys need more representation. So that's one of the things that we're also working on. And then the last part is, in terms of this pledge, I'm making this unequivocally clear. I want to work with everybody to come up with a packet that's going to make sense, but cover the issues and address the concerns that SGA has. I'm willing, on a weekly basis, if that's what it takes, to sit down with a contingency of students to say, let's go through this line by line and find out what makes sense. I'll tell you right now, there are some things that won't change. There are some things that can, right? So we have to sit down and talk about it together as a team. So again, we can't reiterate this enough. Until a week or 2 ago, this is the first that we heard that there was a problem. So come and speak with us, address this with us. Let's see what together as a team we can do to kind of come to an equitable resolution on some of these concerns.
I'm back again. Okay, you guys keep saying that you're just now hearing this and that you're open. But I was under the impression that the senators were a part of SGA as well. And the senators are who we've been complaining to. I mean, I'm on campus every day. And I hear everything. And I've heard people complaining. I complained to Baccio. He's in 2 of my classes.
And
I see him on a regular basis. He's the only senator.
The first time he with us was on November 1st.
No, October 28th. He actually forwarded.
And he scheduled a meeting to come in the following Monday, and that was the first time we had a formal sit down to address these concerns. And when he did come in to address them, it was only on behalf, not for him or his organization, it was only on behalf of 2 organizations. So imagine our surprise when Friday rolls around and there's a couple of dozen organizations.
Because we're all complaining, but we're all complaining to the same person because he's the only one within the government that we actually see. He's the only one that talks to us.
So we're
he's everywhere, but that's not all. That's not all. Because I'm finding it odd, not so much that you're saying this is the first time you heard the complaints, but that apparently the senators aren't a part of SGA, because you keep saying it as though we haven't heard, but the senators have heard. We've been complaining to the senators. There was something else that I wanted to address also. You said that your books are always open. That's not policing. Just because I can see it doesn't mean that I like it. There should be a system over you, accountability and transparency, the same as you have for the student organizations. You have sanctionability, that particular entity needs to have sanctionability too. Because you're only human. You're only human. Wait, I'm not done.
Well, hold on. I want to be fair to other students.
Yes, I do too. So let me finish and then you can address everything. Particularly since I would love to hear what she has to say. She's had her hand up much longer than I have. But I think that you need to remember, you said that there are certain things that won't change at all. That means you're not coming into it with an open mind. When we did the silent protest, the way you were speaking then, a part of that was off-putting. A lot of the students felt that you guys weren't going to listen because you weren't listening to us then. Even when the speaker gave the one guy permission to speak, none of you were listening. You weren't hearing us. You were just talking. And that's a part of the problem. If you automatically say to us, we want to hear your complaints, but these things won't change, you're not open to change. You're not open to hearing us. Even if you're sure that these things aren't going to change, basic PR move, don't tell us that you're not going to change it. at the very least, wait till you hear all our complaints. Wait until you hear our ideals. How do you know that my ideal isn't better than yours? I know Kenneth. He's much older than he looks. He has a lot of experience, and he's worked in a lot of major corporations. How do you know that his experience couldn't put together a better packet than what you put together? If you're not open to change, how can we be open to speaking with you? And you must remember that when you're voted out of office in the spring, you have elections every year. When you're voted out of office, the next office has to inherit these issues. They have to inherit me. I've got one more year left. So you have to remember, your packet could be out next year. And then what do? You've left nothing behind. You have to worry about the legacy of SGA, not the legacy of yourself. Please be open to what we're saying.
Okay.
I understand that, but well, with Kenneth, for example, yeah, he may have like an amazing amount of knowledge, and you may have a better resolution to what we have now, but he's taken a leadership initiative in actually applying to be a part of the finance committee and to be a part of the difference that you want to see.
But you have to remember that not all the changes have to come from SGA. Just because we're not a part of SGA doesn't mean that you're really a part of the student body. You're representing us.
It doesn't mean that you can't come to our office and express those concerns. I mean, we're not lying to you. I mean, literally the first time we're hearing about a lot of what you're saying now was on October 28th.
I've been hearing about it since August, and I am not in your position.
Well,
The first time
you
you
said
heard about
that people are intimidated, so I don't know why you're surprised that we haven't heard about it. Because you're saying
I'm not
people
surprised.
are-
I'm surprised that you're surprised. That's the part that bothers
Well,
me,
and
because
this is
all
what
I've heard is how many
this is what
students
we're
don't want to
saying
speak
is
with
that,
you.
You know, I understand that you've heard a lot about this, but we're telling you we haven't, and as soon as we did, we're sitting here a week later.
All right, I'm gonna-
So that you guys-
Not as soon as
Hold on,
3
hold
weeks
on.
later.
I'd like to move on. I think everybody's had a chance to speak on this issue. I'd like to give this young lady a chance here to talk.
Okay, as a student leader of one organization, member of another, the packet was a little burdening, I'm not gonna lie, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Like I said, like other people have said, like it's an okay thing to go over it together as a group and have these roundtables and such. But what I do wanna know is, okay, after the process we're approved for this money and such, you know, one of our organizations has a trip planned, and we're not gonna have this money prior to our trip. And, you know, time frames and such like that, are those put into consideration when our funds are, you know,
Yes.
available to us? Because the trip's coming up this week and we've yet to have received our funds.
So the larger issue is, let's say, you know, today's the hearing, let's say your trip is a week from today. The funds will likely, for sure, will not have been transferred in that time. So what I will say is, an organization that knows this, right? You guys have to make the concerted effort, and I'm not saying you did anything wrong, but you gotta make the effort to come to us sooner, like the October hearing.
Yes,
In
that's what was done.
in this instance here, what I will tell you is that the general rule of thumb is, as long as the event occurs at any point after the hearing date, so from November 13th and on, we're gonna fund it at this hearing, okay, for the most part, unless it's far in the spring. So what'll likely happen in your situation is you'll receive the funding for it through the hearing, but you won't actually receive that money for a couple of weeks. So your organization is gonna have to find a way to fund the cost of it now, and then you will, in essence, be reimbursed for it in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes, going back a little bit, you had said that with you wanting to see where exactly our funds are being spent, and that being that after we've spent those funds and we want to get reimbursed for that, we bring receipts to student government. That seems to be a bit invasive to me. That seems to be something that I want to deal with administration at the university. Quite frankly, I only want officers in our organizations. We know where that is, and then administration. We understand that you want to see that we're spending it appropriately. However, that seems to be something that is on the administrative side of the university and not a student, another student organization.
Well, what I would say in response to